We now welcome UFC heavyweight Maurice Greene. Maurice, thank you for the time today, sir.
How we doing? Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
We will take the first set of questions from Gabriel Gonzalez with Cage Side Press.
Hey Maurice, how are you?
How are you? I'm great.
I'm doing pretty good, man. Thanks for asking. So you know what? You sign on the dotted line to fight Greg Hardy. I'm assuming, more so than other opponents, you probably get a lot of messages and a lot of attention for the fight. I'm just wondering, what's that like when you have a fight that emotionally charges people? I'm assuming.
Um, I told myself, my teammate Juan Adams fought him, and I was talking to Juan about it, and I was telling Juan, I said, Juan, I just can't get wrapped up. I'm not saying that, I agree with it, okay, but that's none of my business. And if I was in his position, I was trying to change my life, and I was on a different professional platform trying to make a transition. The last thing I'd want to do is have my opponents continuously bring up my past because I'm trying to move forward towards it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to get locked in a cage, and if the when the crochet boss fights how the crochet boss knows how to fight, they'll get the result that they want. I got a family to feed. So all of my motivation is feeding my family and make sure my kids have to want for nothing, and my fiance has everything that she needs when daddy's away. So um, the messages, all that stuff, that really don't get to me. I got one job, take care of my family. All that other stuff, that's America's issue. That's not mine.
I'm assuming with the pandemic and obviously quarantined at the hotel that you got a lot extra time to do more crochet work. So who has not gotten a gift yet with all the time you've had to make stuff for the UFC staff and etc.
Oh man, there's a lot of UFC staff that I still need to. I cross paths with these guys, and they always take care of me, and they're always good to me. They're nice. It's just a great experience every fight week, and which is the reason why I'm all smiles right now. Slowly but surely, I'll get to everybody and make sure everybody got just a little chip of the crochet boss every time they go to them cold climates. So, I mean, it's too many to name.
Have you been making any new stuff? Have you learned, just some new skills with all the extra time this year? Or what's up?
You know what? I've been pretty active, man. I mean, I fought in January. I turned around, and fought in June. I'm fighting now, so I've been in camp. I moved my family from Minnesota to Albuquerque. And then I've been in places where I myself have been in dark places. After losing two straight and not knowing what the future of this dream was for me. You fall into a dark place sometimes. So it's been a taxing year. But it's starting to turn around. And Saturday night is going to continue to turn around in the way that I need it to turn. So,
On that note, as a fighter yourself, what do you most want to show in your performance this Saturday?
you know, um, the thing that you continue to see with the crochet boss, I'm here for a reason. I'm meant to be here. And it's more proven to myself. Every time I hop in there, it's a proving ground for myself. I don't need to show anybody anything. I'm the crochet boss. I'm the most interesting thing in the heavyweight division, bar none. And I wholeheartedly mean that. I want you to go ahead and look at the heavyweight division and tell me which one of these motherfuckers are interesting. And I'll wait.
Yeah, I got you. Thank you, Maurice. Good luck.
We will take our next set of questions from Danny Segura with MMA Junkie. Maurice, I'm curious, were you surprised of getting Greg Hardy? Obviously, he's one of the bigger names in the division. Were you surprised of getting this matchup?
No, not at all. I mean, a matchup's a matchup to me.
Yeah,
Am I surprised that they gave me Greg? It's not something that I thought I would get anytime soon. But hey, you know, they threw it to me for a reason. You know, they want to see the crochet boss do his thing. So the crochet boss gonna go out there and do his thing.
for sure. And as far as Hardy's game, obviously this is someone that came in the UFC without that much experience, and he's kind of just been progressing as he's been fighting in the company. What do you make of his game, and where do you think what do you think his most dangerous aspect is?
We all know his most dangerous aspect is his power. I mean, that's a no brainer. But let's go back and look at some of the guys I fought. There's no way that Greg Hardy hits harder than Sergey Pavlovich. So I mean, his game is progressing. I took my first amateur fight 30 days after I walked in the gym at 310 or 300 pounds after I lost 30 pounds. And then I fast tracked to pro, and I fast tracked myself to the Ultimate Fighter in the UFC. So, I'm kind of on the same path, but the difference is I had no professional athletic. I wasn't a professional athlete prior to coming in here. I was just a Joe Blow off the street who used to just live every day like it's his last. So, in a lot of ways, in that way, me and Greg are very similar. And I'm learning on this stage just like he is. You see in the Volkov fight that he can hang in there. He can hang in there with some of these big dogs, and he's not somebody to actually take lightly. I think some people take him lightly. I'm not. He has my undivided attention. He has since I signed the contract.
Yeah. Well, can't wait for the fight. Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
We will take the next questions from Damon Martin with MMA Fighting.
Hey, Maurice, I know after your last fight, you talked a lot about, moving your family to Albuquerque and finding a real training home in Jackson Wink. And you mentioned, that you've kind of, in a way, you have grown up in the UFC, coming from the Ultimate Fighter and things like that. But how much have you grown up working with that team?
Leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds. Let's put it this way. Where I'm at today and where I was at with my last camp is night and day. Jackson Wink is the place for me. Jackson Wink has everything I need. They have heavyweight training partners, and you need that heavyweight pressure to fight these big boys. That's what I didn't really realize moving from Factory X to Jackson Wink is, the lack of heavyweights at Factory X was kind of a downfall for me. And it's not any knock on Factory X. They got great coaches. They got world-class coaches. They're just not built for me for a heavyweight camp. And Jackson Wink has 7, 8 guys, that are on the mats day in and day out at different levels. You got wrestlers, you got strikers, and then we got smaller light heavyweights that are a little bit bigger that also move around with us, like Christian Edwards. I mean, the list can go on. I got everything I need under one camp, and we got the greatest MMA minds under one roof too. So I think that bleeds greatness.
Absolutely. To that point, going into this fight, you mentioned, Greg Hardy's greatest weapon is his power, but we have seen him go to a couple of decisions. You mentioned the Volkov fight, obviously his last fight as well. Do you have to like in terms of preparing for this guy, do you have to be careful with a guy like this because he does have that massive power, but we've also seen him kind of be a little bit more reserved in a couple of fights?
Listen, you gotta be careful with every heavyweight you fight. You and I both know this. The common denominator in the heavyweight division is one shot will end your night, no matter who the hell you are, right? So if you choose to forget that, you may be going night-night. But that being said, I'm not afraid to go to sleep. It happens. It happens to the best of us. You've seen most of the greats go to sleep. So if I'm going to be afraid to go to sleep, that means I'm afraid to move forward, and we're not going to do that Saturday night. It just is what it is, man. You get locked into a cage, one person's going to come out a winner, one person's going to come out a loser. Where do you want to be? You just need to make a decision. And I've made my decision. I made my mind up. I'm out there to get a W and move forward in my career.
It was mentioned earlier, of course, Greg being a former NFL player, having a bit of a name coming in, he's not a top 15 guy, but he's a very well-known guy. In a lot of ways, do you feel like this is actually a bigger fight just because of who Greg Hardy is, even though he may not have a number next to his name? There's a lot of attention being paid, whenever he fights.
There's a lot of attention being paid because the general public wants to see him get knocked the fuck out. And we all know this, right? Because of his past. But, I'm a mixed martial artist. So when I look at big fights, I'm looking at guys like Alexei Oleinik. That was a big fight for me, right? That's a guy who's a mixed martial artist to the core. He has wins in 4 decades. Greg Hardy's a very, very athletic guy who is skilled. He's building his skills. He's putting his tools in his toolbox, right? And we just have to go out there, and all my tools need to beat his tools, and get a little bloody and beat up in the process because that's just how it is.
And last one for me, you mentioned working at Jackson Wink and working with heavyweights. Kind of a two-part question. Have you been working with John Jones? And as a teammate, how do you feel like John Jones is going to do as a heavyweight?
I haven't yet been able to work with John Jones. But aside from John Jones, it'd be awesome if John Jones was in the building with us. But he has other engagements and things that he's working on outside of the cage that that keep him away from being in the gym. But between Juan Adams, Davion Franklin, he's in Bellator, Christian Edwards. I mean, I'm just trying to pick out. There's so many names that I can't even pick them out. I mean, there's so many heavyweights in there that give me something different, where I can learn from all those people. And when John is ready and he's back in the gym, I'll learn. I'm sure I'll learn a whole lot of things from him, and I'll get better in a bunch of different ways. So my thing is, you can learn something from everybody, from the first day amateur to the 20-year vet. You can learn something from everybody if you want to. You just have to figure out how you got to work with them to get better and what area you're looking to get better in, right? So you have to just diversify your skill set. I put this skill here. Well, I want to work on, with the smaller guys, I want to work on being quick, getting in and out. It's not about power, right? With some of the bigger guys, I want to see if maybe I can handle the clinch, or maybe can I control them on the ground. So, and not everybody thinks like me, but this is how I structure what I do day in and day out in that gym, and that that keeps my fire burning to get better.
Thank you, Maurice.
No problem. Thank you.
We will take our last set of questions from Sue McDonough with Sportskeeda.
Hey Maurice, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fine myself, thank you.
To hear. What's up?
So, your last fight obviously was very important to you, and you reflected on it in your post-fight interview. What is the significance of this fight, and how important is this one to you?
Every fight's important. Every fight is your most important fight, right? But as far as importance, yeah, it has my undivided attention. It's the most important thing that's going on in my life right now. Besides my family, obviously, but in my professional career, it's the most important thing going on in my life. Greg Hardy has my undivided attention, and he has from when I signed the contract. And it's very important I go out here and get a W. And like I said, I always want to finish impressively, but my dad kind of put it in perspective. He said, Maurice, stop thinking about how much money you're going to make. Stop thinking about where you're going to be in the rankings, what they could possibly do, who you may fight next, because none of that shit matters if you don't go out and get a W Saturday night. So all I'm thinking about is going out and getting a W and how we're going to get that W. And that's really all that matters, man. That's all that matters to me right now.
So, Greg Hardy's had his moments in the UFC. What do you make of him as an opponent or like as a fighter?
He's building himself to be a good mixed martial artist. Greg Hardy's not trash, obviously. Go ahead and he went the distance with Volkov. He's kind of showed his worth in the UFC, and he's constantly getting better. Every time you see Greg Hardy, you're seeing something different. Every time you see the Crochet boss, you're seeing something different. So, I guarantee you're just going to see a great fight Saturday night, a wonderful fight. We're going to go to hell and back. Go to hell and back. We're going to go to a deep, dark place on a deep, dark day like Halloween. Trick or treat, bitches.
We definitely hope so. So, we've heard some interesting stories of your journey in the Ultimate Fighter. Could you share a little bit of your experience in the Tough House?
As far as what?
Like your experience inside the house, inside the Ultimate Fighter house?
I mean, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. The Ultimate Fighter will really, it's made to break you. My first day in Ultimate Fighter, when Dana walks in there, he said, this is the toughest thing ever. And I was laughing. I really thought it was a little bit of a joke. Like, how can this be tough? We can have whatever we want. But in the beginning, it's like a new relationship, right? Everything is great. But once you start getting towards the end, it starts to get tough. It wears on you, especially when you got a family and you're used to being able to vent to somebody. You don't get all that. It really brings out the best of these athletes. And that's why you see these guys on Tough come from Tough, and even not being a winner of Tough, or still have successful runs in the UFC. It takes something special to be on that show. And I tip my hat off to every man and woman that has went through that process, because most of them are still in the UFC or have been in the UFC for some sort of time. So, I recommend it to anybody coming up. It really gives you a good idea of if this is what you want to do for the rest of your life or not.
And what was your experience working like under Kelvin Gastelum?
Calvin Gastelum, Coach T, Corey Kelly, and all the coaching staff. In addition to Uriah Hall was there with us for a lot of the time as well. They were fabulous, man. You couldn't ask for greater coaches. You couldn't ask for a team of coaches that cared about what our future was after tough. You couldn't ask for a better team of coaches in comparison to the other side of the spectrum and what they got. Some of those guys wanted to come over with us. So I'm still to this day very grateful for Calvin Gastelum and all the coaches. And I still talk to all of them a lot. So it was a great experience. It changed my life tenfold.
So last question from me. Sometime back, you did a little Q&A session on Reddit where you mentioned that your MMA idol is Anderson Silva. So what is it like for you to share this card with him and, knowing that this will be his final fight?
I mean, I'm not sharing the card with them. This is his card. This is his. He's sharing the card with Uriah is kind of how that's happening. We just know the fight on the card. I mean, I think that's awesome that I finally get to meet him. I've been in the UFC now going on November 30th to be 2 years. My 7th outing in less than 2 years, and I haven't came in contact with him. So I told him earlier today, like, hey, you're my idol. I need a picture before we depart here. But it's pretty special for me, I watched a lot of old Anderson Silva fights. I watched his YouTube videos. And even before I had a coach, I used to go running in Chicago, down Lake Michigan, I used to live in right off Clybourne and Fullerton. I used to run Fullerton all the way down to the lake. And I used to run down Lake Michigan, and I used to shadow box and all that stuff. And a lot of that shadow boxing and what I was doing was from what I saw on YouTube before I actually had a real coach. And it'd be nice to just get a picture with him for him. And he may not have time to talk to me with this COVID, going on, but a picture would be nice. And it's a bonus to be here at his retirement fight, if that's what he's doing.
Well, that's very cool, and I wish you all the best for this fight this week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Maurice. That is all the time we had for you, sir.
See you guys Saturday. We going to hell, baby.